Hey everyone, how's it going? Give me a thumbs up if audio is okay in the chat and a thumbs down if it's not. We're going to be using the webcam microphone today just because I'm going to have a person somewhere over here. And yeah, we'll take it from there. There's the AC going on in the background. I apologize for that. Unfortunately, I don't have two lav mics, so unless you don't want to hear someone talk, we'll be okay. We got one wrench.
There should be another one now.
It's all right, there's a lock. Everyone, okay. This is Nick.
Hello.
Nick is one of our support staff. You may have talked to him on the phone. Fantastic person, highly recommend. So, today we're planning on just having some engraving fun time. We've got some aluminum plate stock, and we've also got a stainless steel bottle opener. So I don't know what we're gonna make today, like pattern drawing engraving wise, but yeah, we will. Basically, the gist is I want to show you guys how you can use the 501, the PCB engraver. This has a 5 thou ball nose, just to engrave, doodle, whatever, put some patterns in metal. A lot of people, what they like to do is like engrave dog tags and just really simple cosmetic things. And PCB engraver is a great way. It doesn't just work for PCBs, it works for basically anything. So yeah, we'll get this loaded up in the machine, assuming I have an 1/8" collet around somewhere. And yeah, also we might do an optional drag engraving session if time permits. But for now, I'd say let's load up some material and then just try doing some toolpaths in it. I'll explain sort of like what kind of feeds and speeds you should use with PCB engraver. Generally pretty slow, about 10 to 15 inches per minute with a really shallow depth of cut. So it shouldn't be too difficult. We'll do this in Carbide Create. I don't think my Fusion is updated here. So yeah, let's have at it. Nick, go see if you can loosen that collet and load an 1/8" TCB cutter. I'm going to switch over to the other camera, try and focus on what you're doing, and yeah, should be fun.
Right. It's okay, as long as it's not down another flight of stairs.
Oh god, that is super overexposed.
Oh. Sorry guys, it's a little bright. We are in sunny California, so I apologize for the settings. There was actually an 1/8" in here already.
That is a terrible joke. Alright, so should be able to switch to that.
So we have the 1/8", the collet in here, so I'm not just shoving one into the 1/4".
1/8" precision collet. So we're going to be using the Shape Oko just because the Nomad is kind of in the corner awkwardly. It's like way over that way. It's just a little harder to get to. It's a little more cramped. So Shape Oko is going to be the way to go for now. In terms of work holding material, this isn't going to be seeing a lot of stress. You should be really just sort of kissing it with the cutter. So I'm okay with double-sided tape. Are you?
Yeah, we use double-sided tape.
I mean, we could also clamp it. It really doesn't matter how we do it. For a basic example.
Yeah, I think the double-sided tape will be just fine.
Okay, good, because I can't find my Allen keys.
Yeah.
They're okay. Double-sided tape it is.
There's one. Oh no, it's a screwdriver. Never mind.
All right. We are super prepared, guys. I swear.
I may or may have not ran up and down the 2 or 3 flights of stairs. Oh yeah, your maker knife. The craftsmanship on this is wonderful.
It really is.
I know this is not a good idea.
Oh god, you're cutting it directly.
You'll be okay.
For those of you that can't see, Nick just used my utility blade, cutting it directly on aluminum, but luckily those blades are replaceable.
Yeah.
I'm cringing a little. Okay. I'm going to fire up Carbide Create so we can come up with a design. So let's see, desktop, camera.
So what are you thinking today?
I am not sure. We just really need a super simple pattern, something basic vectors, nothing we're going to fill. How much double-sided tape are you going to use?
A lot.
We don't need that much. It's going to be a pain in the butt to pull off.
How many times have you and I underestimated the amount of double-sided tape to put down?
I would say none, but that would be a complete lie.
Okay, double-sided tape this one, and it's not
all right.
Okay, we'll leave 3 then.
If any of you guys in the audience have suggestions on things to engrave, let me know. Otherwise, this is going to be a really simple, like just some text, maybe a logo. I don't even think I have a logo on this computer, or we can just find an SVG off the interwebs. Let me go through the comments, see what we've missed. What do y'all think? Any chance of Nomad 3 news? Not this time, but hopefully next live stream in 2 weeks, we will have all of the news. So, if you have specific questions, I might be able to give you hints. It is, so Robert, it's not going to be for hogging out aluminum. It's a little more than a modest improvement over the current Nomad. It's going to be the Nomad, but basically twice as fast. It's not a quantum leap forward, but it is a pretty sizable jump. Precision should be near the same, correct. We are using the same lead screws, but we have improved lead nuts. So the holding force, the anti-backlash mechanism should be a little better than it was before, and it should last a little longer. Any progress on a 4th axis upgrade? We don't have a 4th axis and probably won't anytime soon, but you should totally pester Luke about that. That's Luke's department. How are you doing peeling off the backing on that tape, Nick?
Terrible.
Okay.
Quite terrible.
That's okay. I won't hold it against you. I will put you on screen though so people can see you struggling.
Yeah, I know. After he made me run up and down some stairs, and then it's okay though.
Let's see. I'm hoping the Nomad 3 just comes with options for all the things people tend to mod: air blast, vacuum, coolant, stock location.
Okay.
The wasteboard is going to be more or less the same. I can share that it's going to be easier to attach your own modifications to the spindle. It's going to have a couple holes on the side that you can bolt into. So if you have an inclination to add attachments, vacuum maybe, you should find that a little easier. Let's see.
I see butterfly.
I see B. Lee use the library.
Oh yes, yeah, the installed library.
Okay. I guess we can do that. It's a really easy way to go about it. So I'm going to cut off the main camera. And would you like to do the honors? You actually, I think, use Carbide Create more than I do.
Yeah, and if you want to stick that thing down where you would like
certainly.
that'd be wonderful. Let's see.
Set up your canvas size first.
Okay. So we're just gonna pop over into our stock size. How big what do you think? It's 4 by 4 by 5, right?
It is 4 by probably 5. I would go 4.5 by 5.5, just to give us the option of facing this down.
I think your mouse is upset with me.
What's wrong with the mouse?
I don't know.
The mouse is on the
And the stock thickness is what, 125?
Stock thickness is correct, 1/8 of an inch.
Okay. Alright, that felt good to me. It's okay. Oh, opposite.
You'll want to rotate that stock because I have it oriented lengthwise.
Okay. There we go. Alright, let's go ahead and we're going to pop into our library here.
So we have a library included with Carbide Create of a bunch of just stock vectors.
Let's see.
I don't want to pick cats because I know there's a bit of a rivalry there if we don't pick dogs.
We could do farm animals.
Okay.
I mean,
Farm animals is good.
Chicken. We got duck. Ducks are always good.
Goat.
Want to do goats?
Yes, goats.
Okay, we'll do a goat. Said audio is a little glitchy.
Let us know if it keeps acting up. It might just be a we need to talk louder thing.
Yeah. What does it say? Can we see? Yes. I think the camera may have frozen too.
Camera may indeed be frozen. Please hold. Oh, you know, I think what happened is our USB connection to all our accessories is messed up. I will throw the main camera back on and I'll just be the camera person. So if we do this camera should be active, and I'll get Mr. Nook on the camera. Sweet.
I agree, it is the masks. Okay, so let's go ahead and, well, okay, so the mouse is working again. Excellent.
Hold on, let me adjust the camera so you're blocking less of the screen. We'll shrink it down a little bit.
Okay. Cool. Okay, so how big a goat do you think we should do on here? You want to do a big goat, little goat?
Keep it less than, keep it to like half the width, half the height.
Okay.
Just so that it's a little faster. The other thing about this is that we haven't leveled the piece of stock. So normally, if you have something like this on a wasteboard, if your engraver, if you're trying to make a really shallow cut, but your material is slightly tilted, as you cut deeper and deeper, you're going to put more and more stress on your tool and probably break it.
Okay. We'll do them at 175.
Cool.
So we're going to go ahead and go into tool path. Now, on this one, we're just going to do a contour, and we're going to do a no offset because we want to basically go around the edges here. We're going to need to go ahead and change out the end mill that we have. We're going to swap it out to, I think the only thing we have in here right now is hardwood, or aluminum. So we're going to go ahead and swap this out to an engraver. And that's what, a 501?
Yes, 501. It really doesn't matter when you're just following the line. Because the end mill is going to do, basically, the CNC is going to do the exact same thing. It's going to follow that line exactly and then retract at some point.
What depth do you think we should put?
So, for an engraving like this, I would probably do a final depth of maybe 8 to 10 thou.
Okay.
Your step down is what really matters because the tip of this engraver is super fragile.
Mm-hmm.
So your step down should be 3 to 4 thousandths of an inch.
So we're at 3 right now.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll move that. Alright, that all look correct? Everything look correct on there?
Everything looks... so feed rate, 10 inches per minute. These are actually the speeds and feeds that I developed, so they're actually pretty okay. Max depth, check. No offset, check. Let's move your goat to near the origin, just to make it easier. Toolpaths will update. And then, yeah, that should be good. I'll reset the camera for the CNC.
Okay.
Why don't you fire up Carbide motion, set the origin, if you're setting it on top of the material, which I think you are.
Yes.
That should be good.
Yeah, I'll double check that because Always double check your stuff, guys. It's there's been a couple times where I haven't checked and I've changed something on another cut, and
I agree. I am the worst cameraman ever.
All right, so you'll have to show me where your Carbide motion is on here.
Go to desktop, and then actually that probably broke the camera. Please hold. Alright, Carbide motion. Go for it. I'm gonna go grab some light protection.
All right.
I'll be back.
Okie dokie. So we're already fired up. Let's see. Are we power on? So good to hear. So we always want to check before we do a run. We just want to make sure that everything is solid. We want to check to make sure safety-wise everything is here. E-wheels, some may need a little adjustment. That's good. Everything feels good. So I'm going to make sure we're not in the way. So it looks like our limit switch there is a little bit up. And thankfully we have a tech support guy in here right now. Let's see. Let me double check. Yeah, retract height is fine. It's actually really low. Alright. Go ahead and pop that back on. I think our limit switch just needs to be adjusted. Go ahead and connect to cutter. So it actually ran into the top right now.
Ran into.
Yeah, I checked the switch.
Zeroing?
Yeah.
I might have been messing with this machine.
I think so.
And I might have disconnected the limit switch.
You have a Allen key? Oh, there was one here.
There was a blue one, right?
Yeah. I may have put it back in the drawer.
No, I'll grab a set of Allen keys. Keep everyone entertained.
Yeah.
Watch the chat.
Okay. So he's gonna go grab some Allen keys so we can check on that. It looks like he was messing around with this earlier and he may have disconnected it. But
Alright, so just to fill everyone in.
they're saying the camera is frozen.
Is the camera frozen? Oh.
You guys can still hear us though, right?
That camera's working. Don't ever minimize that. And we should be back up.
Okay, better?
It'll be a couple seconds before they respond. So what happened with this machine is I was using this to shoot the promo for the inductive homing switch upgrade. And I disconnected all the switches here. And I'm guessing I didn't put all the switches back in.
It's okay. I told them I'm glad that we have a tech support guy up here, you know.
Right? So I can't fix machines. 5mm.
It's okay. I did a pre-flight check. I think this needs to be adjusted as well. But,
Oh, who cares about the
yeah,
details?
yeah, it should be all right.
I'm gonna throw the main screen up, the camera up, just because it's a little more entertaining.
Yeah.
And you can laugh at me. Alright, so what I'm just doing is cracking open the back of the controller, and we'll see if the limit switch has been disconnected.
I'll push it on the front so you can see if the little blue light comes on.
And the verdict is the switch is actually connected.
Alright, let's see. Blue light?
Is this powered on? No.
No.
I just turned it off.
Blue light?
Light is coming on. So what exactly happened when you tried to run it?
Ran into the top.
Hold that there for a second. The light is on. So that means the homing switch is working. For reference, the control board has a bunch of LEDs on it that will illuminate when the corresponding switch is hit.
Maybe you got X and Z swap.
The problem is I've got all these wires hooked in. Let's see, the current switch illuminated is, you're right, I'm an idiot. So I plugged Z into X.
It's okay. It's not my first rodeo.
Yeah. Normally when you think of these things, oh, you know what it is? Someone, before my time, I'm pretty sure, mislabeled these switches.
Ah! The good old mislabeling.
X is Z and Z is X. Alright, so I'm going to power this off. Drop the Z axis. And then, if you want to run a homing sequence after I get my fingers clear, we should be good to go.
Safety is always my first priority.
Safety is my second priority.
What is the first?
Putting on a good show.
Oh, okay, okay. I feel like we're succeeding on doing that good show right now. So.
Yeah. At the very least, it's entertaining. It's always good to have at least one CNC crash.
Yeah.
In a show.
And I don't think I've ever actually seen you repair a machine that wasn't a time lapse. So like, it's
true.
it's nice seeing you move in a regular speed. So.
All right, punch it.
All right. Let's go. I'll try not to minimize and kill the stream again. Oh, I probably killed the stream.
No, it's as long as it's not minimized, but if there's a window over it, it's fine.
All right, cross your fingers. We clear?
Yes.
Oh, lovely. That's what we like to hear.
I'm going to bring this window down here. And,
they say that you actually repair things very quickly.
nice. The other thing I was worried about was whether or not I had moved the
bit center. You guys didn't get to see the face he made right now, but it was wonderful. Okay, so let's go ahead and I'll actually let you do the honors of zero.
I don't want it. It's your program.
But you're the master of zeros.
No, I'm not. I'm just going to wiggle a piece of paper underneath because I'm too lazy to use the bit setter or the bit zero.
Yeah.
There's too many bits in this.
Yeah.
All right. So your origin was set in the bottom left corner of
Yes.
the stock, right?
Yeah,
so
correct.
I'm going to zoom in on the CNC. Down. Focus. My increment is set super small. Alright, so do I lean over and wiggle a piece of paper, or do we want to play telephone where you wiggle it and you tell me when to stop and hopefully not crash the machine?
We can play telephone because that seems pretty exciting. Where's the sheet of paper I can just shove under there?
Use this.
Oh yeah. This is old trusty right here. Double-sided tape paper. Okay, you need to go north a little bit. A little bit more. Okay, go ahead and come down. Okay, go ahead and one more. And then go ahead and
switch the increment.
Yep. All right, a little bit more to the left. A little bit more. One more. There we go, right there. Now go ahead and come south. A little bit more. One more. Okay, good. Go ahead and bring it down.
Hold on, I'm going to set this as the XY0. And because, do you have enough material underneath to catch the paper? Or are we like halfway off the...
No, we're right on the corner.
Okay, coming down.
All right, slower, right there.
Slower?
Yeah, we're snagged.
Okay, so I've jammed the tip of the end mill into the... All right, I'm going to come up a couple thou at a time.
Okay, let me pull this out of here. Okay, that actually...
It's good?
A little bit higher. Still a little
Just
higher. Barely. Okay, down.
One notch?
Yep.
Is it catching?
No. Oh, yeah, a little bit. All right, well, one more. I think that's good.
Okay.
We're set.
Go
ahead and set to 0.
Set 0, 0Z, done. We probably could use a bit 0. Let me take a look. The thing we want to keep in mind is that's, I think that's 3 millimeters of height. So if your stock is thinner than 3 millimeters, it won't work. This would just barely sit flat on with these edges on the table. But if you use stock that's thinner than an 1/8 inch or 3 millimeters, you will have issues where it'll try to sort of rock itself on the stock. Or rather, you wouldn't be able to set X, Y, and Z. You'd have to put this on top of the stock to get Z, and then only probe X and Y here, because this face wouldn't be coplanar with the top of your stock. All right, little rant spiel aside, does this mean we're ready to go?
I think so.
Oh, you set that right on the corner. Okay. I have stolen someone else's safety glasses for you.
Thank you.
I won't
I'm
tell
glad.
you whose they are.
It's okay. Someone will come up and tell us.
Let's switch to the big camera. And then let me make sure the post processor was set correctly in Carbide Create.
I may have left it on Nomad, but it should be fine.
As long as it's one of our machines, good. It'll have
I don't think I actually saved did I save it? I don't think I saved it.
You didn't save the G code?
No, we just went over to Carbide Motion.
Oh my goodness. What do I even have you here for?
Looking pretty.
Let's see, hold on. Depth per pass 0.03, max depth 8,000. So it's 3 passes. Why is this taking 5 minutes? We'll find out. This might be a little slow. I might actually crank up the feed rate a little bit. But let us save this G code to the desktop. And we'll call this goat engrave. Actually, 5 minutes is way too long for people to be watching.
Yeah, that is a long time.
Nothing happening.
Let's shrink it up.
We'll make a smaller goat. Scale it down to, I don't know, that looks fine. Done. Unselect. Toolpath. Toolpath is 3 minutes, that's kind of reasonable. Save G-code, go engrave, save, replace. Go into Carbide motion, we are going to load a toolpath. Goat engrave, okay. It loads instantly because it is not a lot of G-code. We'll hit start job, we'll hit start. It's going to prompt us for the correct tool, the 501. It is already in the machine, so I will hit resume.
Just remember, I'm really good at breaking these tips off, so.
Yeah, I usually like to start like not with the end mill touching the aluminum. I'll go up a couple thou, just the paper slides freely, so that first cut is guaranteed to not be too deep. So I don't know what's going to happen.
You know what this is set at?
It is set at roughly 18,000 RPM, which is good enough. Yeah, whatever. Let's just go for it. Punch it.
It's gonna get a little loud, guys. I did not break that end though.
Yeah. Alright, Nick, you want to try ripping that off the wasteboard so we can get a closer look at it?
Do you have any tools for this?
Nope.
You're just going to watch me struggle here, huh?
Kind of. Do we have a pry bar? We're going to have to improvise. Please hold. Hold end mill, screwdriver. Wait, hold on. Oh, yeah, that works.
No, actually a screwdriver will work better if you got one.
No, just pick a 3mm Allen key.
Easy peasy.
Alright, let's see how the engraving looks. So, go narrate something.
Yeah. It's a nice goat.
Sweet. Alright, so that is a success. One small leap for CNC kind. It is. Wait, please hold. Gotta drop the overhead lights a bit.
Oh, there you go.
And
oh, there we go. Beautiful. What do you guys think about the goat? Wonderful.
it's good enough. So I guess what we're going to try next is a stainless steel bottle opener. And Nick, this is yours, so what do you want to engrave on it?
I mean, I guess we could leave it up to the chat.
You sure you want to do that?
Yes, I believe in the chat.
Alright. Nick believes in the power of the internet to decide good things, so everyone, please prove him wrong. Carla, we did this in 3 passes. Each step down was about 3 to 4 thousandths of an inch, so roughly 0.075 to 0.1 millimeters per step down. We're not gonna. Do we carve a bottle opener in a bottle opener?
It's like.
Oh, cut a bottle opener from a bottle opener.
I mean.
I have mixed feelings about this. If we had a longer live stream, I'd be down for it. But for stainless steel, so for any ferrous metal, you want Altin, aluminum, titanium nitride as a coating on your tools. We don't have any here. I guess we can do a search for a bottle opener SVG or a bottle cap SVG.
Yeah, I think a bottle cap would be nice. What about one for Crystal and George? We could do like a Nuka-Cola bottle cap?
That's just George.
Oh, okay.
I'm pretty sure Crystal isn't a super nerd. The Shapeoko can do stainless. So if you Google Shapeoko stainless steel, I did a really small, like little train wheel type thing about yay big on the Shapeoko about a year ago. And it works. It's just slow. In order to get the right chip load or feed rate, you need to use small tooling. Otherwise, the 10,000 RPMs is going to burn up your end mills. All right. Does anything stick out to you?
I mean, I'm not really a beer drinker, so I like a nice.
All right. Every German has just left the chat.
It's okay. I'm a vodka drinker, if anything. That was kind of cool. The one with a little star on it.
Which one? This? That? This one?
That's a little too deep, huh?
It doesn't matter. So when you get an SVG, the width of the line is kind of independent from like the fill. So let's download this if this doesn't make me give my social security number and let's see, are these real download links or are these going to be spam download links? Open with Internet Explorer. So let's see how these SVGs look. The width of the line, if it's not hard-coded, if it's not 2 separate lines.
Yeah, we should be good.
Yeah. So let's see what this looks like. If you can't tell, this is the first time I've opened up Internet Explorer on this laptop, and we're getting some wonderful pop-ups. So I don't know if that's a single line or not. Let's open this in Carbide Create. Carbide Create. Let's nuke the goat. And then let's import the external file. Downloads, random SVG. Okay, so back to Internet Explorer. The dark lines were actually two separate lines with a fill in between them. So when we import this, you don't just see a single line where that black line was. It's actually two separate lines. So this is both good and bad. It means we could like decarve this if we wanted to, or if we trace it, it'll just go over. It'll make a double wide line, which is okay, I guess. So let's group everything. Let's scale this down to a reasonable size. What's the width of your bottle opener?
I believe it's 1.5 inches.
1.6, actually.
175.
My hole spacing on my threaded wasteboard is 1.5 inches, so 1.5 inches does check out. I don't know if you can tell, we are, Carbide is located right next to a hospital, so you get a lot of sirens. Can links be pasted in the chat? I think they have to be approved by a moderator, or you can sort of just break it up and say like, hey, Google whatever XYZ term, and that should work. So let's shrink this thing down to a height of 1 inch maybe. Apply that, and then let's move this, let me move my canvas over here so the camera view isn't blocking it. And I'm going to use the move operation just so I can grab that corner, snap it over to the origin. And for tool pathing, I will select the same tool path. I am going to change the depth per pass to, I'm just going to drop it by like 18%. Let's go 0.0025 inches depth per pass. And let's cut to a slightly shallower depth that's a little more reasonable. 0.06 inches. No offset, selecting that contour, and we'll hit OK. We'll see what happens. A 7-minute tool path, not a huge fan of that. So let's see what we can change. For the purposes of this experiment, let's just go down 3 step downs. So 0.00, actually, let's go 0.05 inches. We'll do this in 2 step downs, and that should be a little faster. Or I'm wrong.
What about a 3/4 inch? Because an inch is still kind of big.
What do you mean 3/4? Oh, to shrink the
yeah.
bottom. That's another option. Let's try that. Design, select that model, shrink it down to 0.75 inches, apply, relocate that to the origin, hit done, go back to our toolpath. It should automatically recalculate. It's still saying significant length of time, but you know what? Let's just go for it. We got 15 minutes left in the live stream, so we will just run this toolpath in stainless steel. I'm going to start this a hair high. I'll actually zero it this time. Why don't you throw some double-sided tape on that?
Yes. Here's your
the fancy handy-dandy maker knife.
The one that I was using on the aluminum.
Just cut on the wasteboard.
All right.
Spare my blade. Have mercy, you monster. I think just 2 long strips should be plenty. If it overhangs a little bit, whatever, you'll collect some stainless steel chips on the tape and hopefully not embed them in your fingers later. Other pro tip would be to, when you tape this down, put one edge of it over the edge of this so you can get some leverage underneath and pry it off.
right.
While he's working there, I'm actually going to make a little change to this. I am going to relocate this to be centered on my origin. So I'm actually going to manually set the transform, move the center point of this to 0, 0. Apply that, and this will make it a lot easier for us to center the bottle cap logo on the bottle opener. So go back into toolpath, everything should be recalculated. I will save G-code. We will call this stainless steel cap engrave. Ow, I just hit my elbow on the light stand.
I thought I was going to be the one who's running into everything here.
What are you doing? No, off the edge. Put one end of it off the edge so you can pry it off later.
I gotcha.
Yeah. Got to keep an eye on you all the time.
Yeah, I haven't glued myself to anything in like a while, so.
Okay. I don't know if this will work. We're just going to eyeball the center point there.
Yeah, that's fine.
This is just a nonsensical engraving, so it's not a huge deal if we mess it up. So I'm going to jog back to roughly where we were before.
Now, I do get asked a question often about cutting fluids and that kind of stuff on metal.
And what advice would you give them? And then I'm just curious, and then I'll give my own 2 cents.
Well, I always recommend it just because that's pretty much what I've always ever seen. But then I've always seen you cut, you know, there's been several times where I've seen you cut without fluids. So, I mean, I guess it depends on your feeds and speeds and probably the material you're using and the cutter you're using.
So for the most part, I don't like using cutting fluid. The problem with that is that on a CNC like the Shapeoko or the Nomad, you're making such small chips that if you so much as wet the surface with WD-40, all those chips start sticking and they actually stay in your way. So it's actually better to cut dry, assuming you're not welding chips to the end mill, and letting them get blown off. Because the WD-40 kind of just, or any fluid really, unless you're using a mist coolant system with like isopropyl alcohol or ethanol or something that will evaporate away. Any oil-based coolant is just, it gets in the way more than it helps. As long as you're doing cuts where the chips are free to be thrown away or blown off, you really don't need to worry about using cutting fluid. And for steel or stainless steel, there's a theory out there that it's actually better to machine them dry, because as the small cutter goes in there, it creates friction. If you suddenly douse it with cutting fluid, it's actually going to cool the end mill, and that thermal shock as it goes into a cut, out of a cut, into a cut, out of a cut, can actually cause the tool to basically fail prematurely. But again, we're not doing any crazy high-end machining, so with stainless steel, you should be able to put such low energy into the chips that, or regular steel, you shouldn't see the chips turning blue or something, or that if they fly off and they hit your skin, they shouldn't scald you terribly. So, for the most part, I think the kind of machining you'll do on a desktop machine shouldn't necessitate coolant. If you get an HDZ, if you load this with like 1.5 kilowatt spindle and you're just wailing into aluminum and the chips are coming off burning hot, maybe then you should consider mist cooling. But for 95% of people, I think you can cut dry. All right, that was a really long tangent. Yeah. Am I worried about fluid ruining the wasteboard? So again, if you're using WD-40, which I personally wouldn't do, that doesn't cause the MDF to swell up. It's mostly water-based coolants, including like if you use like a 60% isopropyl alcohol mix, like there is some water in there, that's what causes wood fibers to swell or crappy MDF fibers. But oil-based liquids shouldn't really cause any deformation of this surface. So WD-40 would be okay, but honestly, you can cut dry most of the time. All right, so I have achieved what I think is a reasonable zero. So I'm going to 0 Z, and then I'm going to go up a tiny bit, and then you can tell me if it's centered. Just tell me, like,
I mean, truthfully, I think you're pretty centered right now.
Okay, hashtag nailed it.
Yeah, that's pretty centered.
I'm going to go over 2 millimeters.
Yeah, that way. I can see how that could be.
And then I'll set the X and Y 0. So what I was doing here was I was wiggling a piece of paper, it caught, and then I used the smallest increment and I raised the spindle just by that much, and that's where I set my 0. So I'm about 1 to 2 thou above the surface. So the very first time I cut, even if this is uneven, if it's tilted a little bit, at the deepest part of that cut, I'm still not exceeding the limit that I set for myself, which was about 2.5 thou per step down. So we shall see what happens here. 0 is set, Z is 1.125 because I jogged up, or 1.25. So I will load a new file. I shall load SS cap engrave. I will start the job. If I were trying to be super accurate, how would you ensure the stock is parallel to the gantry? Excellent question, Robert. I would basically surface my wasteboard, which I have not for this machine, or rather, I have partial. I didn't cut deep enough, so there's still some low spots here. And then when you load up a material with tape, you make sure you do it so it's uniform, there's no bubbles, and as long as the tape is a consistent thickness, which they usually are, extremely consistent, and you put this on a flattened, leveled wasteboard, you should be good to go. Otherwise, if you want to be sure, you can clamp like a dial indicator, or this is steel, you just take a magnetic mount, and you just run an indicator across the long axis, in probably even both axes, just to verify that at most it's dipping like maybe a thou and a half. And if you weren't sure about your stock, if this was like cut off a larger piece of cheap bar stock, you might want to face this first. The problem with aluminum bar stock is you can't really count on it to be flat. If I got a big thick chunk of aluminum that was extruded, what happens is when the aluminum contracts as it's cooling, the middle shrinks a little more than the outer edges. So if you sweep a dial indicator across this, even if you put this on a flat wasteboard, it's going to dip in the middle. So if you set your 0 here, as your engraver comes to the outside, it's actually going to run into more material. So just to guarantee it, you might want to face it off, get a clean surface to start with, because this aluminum is kind of ugly. So if you weren't sure about whether or not your stock can be trusted, just face it down. Okay, I think we are ready to go. So I'm going to zoom in on the camera.
Looks good to me.
That's good. All right, everyone. I'm going to duck the audio, and we're going to see what happens. Fingers crossed. All right, here goes nothing. All right, so clearly we had some issues where we didn't actually go all that deep into the stainless steel. So what I think I'm going to do is just rerun this toolpath in one step down, a little lower than I wanted it to. So I don't know how well you can see that. We grazed the surface. There's a little bit of an engraving in there, but it's not super deep. We basically just scratched it like ever so slightly, ruined the brush texture of it. So I am inclined to basically not touch the 0 point, but create a new toolpath that goes slightly lower, and we'll see what happens there. So let's go back into the old Carbide Create. Let's go into Toolpaths. Toolpath 1, let's change the max depth to 0.0065 maybe, so I'm going 2 thou deeper, and I'm gonna just do it in one cut. So I'll just say my depth per pass can be absurd, and that should do it in one cut. Now, if you ever come back to revisit a program like this, make sure you just messed with, like, remember that you messed with the step down, because otherwise when you re-export this again, you'll just end up screwing things up. You'll do one super deep cut when you didn't intend to. So I'm going to call this toolpath the SS Cap Engrave Tiny Bit Deeper .nc.
He's not known for the short names on the
Nope.
files.
Wouldn't the 0 point be closer? Why not use the same code, 0 a little bit lower? Because it's going to go through 3 step downs again, which will take a little bit longer. If I just do one pass, keeping the original 0 point the same, it's just going to cut 2 thou lower than everything that came before it. Otherwise, it's going to try and do 3 step downs to the final depth of cut, which will just take a little more time. So I think this will be a little faster. We shall see. SS Cap Engrave _ tiny bit deeper .nc, hit OK, hit start again. Please don't hit my camera.
Oh,
perfect.
We got close there.
Resume, whatever. Saw that coming.
You guys get a close view of the spindle there.
This happens all the time when I'm filming.
We need to get you some of those long range lenses that they use for bird watching.
You know, Robert has one. I haven't. I could requisition his camera gear, but I don't think he would like that.
I'll bring my Polaroid next time. We'll take some still shots while it's running.
I'm going to reorient the lights a little lower so hopefully we get a steeper angle. We can see a little more of the reflection of anything that gets engraved. All right, ducking the audio again. Let's hope this is the final cut we need to make. Hit it. So, I think we're good to go. I'm going to move the camera. Why don't you pull that off the wasteboard?
Good thing we labeled this. I would have never known what it was for.
So, trying to assess. There's some areas that are maybe a little shallower, but in the right lighting, it's actually pretty good. So these engravings will actually catch light. So if I turn this, actually no, those are, they're a little flatter than the others, but this is an engraving you can actually feel, and there's no burr on the surface, which is what we're going. So let's zoom out and wrap this dealy up. All right, so webcam. Let's do webcam. If you have any questions about what we just did, I'll post close-ups of those on Instagram. Let's see, webcam, transition. No, webcam's still not working. So let's bring the camera back. I don't know. Wrap this up, Nick.
If you guys have any questions or concerns, feel free to contact us. We're more than happy to help. I mean, let us know what you guys thought about the stream. Let us know what you guys want to see, and I
actually don't want to know what you guys think about the stream unless it's fantastic. But if you have any support questions, feel free to shout out. Just call out for Nick. He's on the phone lines, on the Help Scout. So email us if you have any questions. We will stick around in the chat to answer any last-minute questions. But bottom line, engraving 2 to 3, maybe 4/1000ths of an inch depth of cut, between 10 to 15 inches per minute. It works for just about any material. In wood, you can go a lot faster, but it's not that difficult. You're not going to explode the machine, even in something theoretically challenging like stainless steel. So give it a shot. Don't worry about it. Should be a lot of fun. Thank you all for joining us on this summer edition of Carbide 3D's Two Stooges. And we'll see you again next time, or at least I'll see you again next time.
Yeah, see you later, guys.
And